Well, Lewis Hamilton officially to Ferrari in what has been one of the biggest stories this century in Formula One. Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari. Let's get into the fallout. What has Toto Wolf said? That meeting at Mercedes. Who is going to replace Lewis Hamilton? Also, rumours that he could start as early as 2024 this year, which is from the Italian media, I think probably not. But at the moment, never say never. Who thought when they woke up on February the 1st, they'll be reading news stories about Hamilton going to Ferrari after signing a 2-year deal with Mercedes? Yeah, who knew, basically? So let's get into it. As we know, Ferrari market cap surges on this amid Lewis Hamilton F1 bombshell. Their share price soared more than 10% to hit a new record high on the New York Stock Exchange. Such was, the earthquake, on the Richter scale in terms of news. So this is from planetf1.com. Ferrari have confirmed that Lewis Hamilton will race in 2025, having tempted the 7-time world champion from Mercedes. He's going to switch, as we believe, in 2025, despite those potential 2024 rumours, partnering up with Charles Leclerc, who's also signed a new deal. So he signed a contract for the Mercedes in 23, signed it for 24 and 25, but having only recently put that pen to paper, the option was for 25. It wasn't set in stone, so to speak. So the 24 was a guarantee. He signed an option, and the option, it was believed to be on Lewis Hamilton's side of the contract. So he ended up leaving. And Ferrari confirms this in a short press statement of obviously them, having Lewis Hamilton as a driver for 2025. On Thursday evening, following a day of intense speculation and intrigue, it says here, Mercedes confirmed Hamilton had exercised that exit option we just spoke about, and shortly after, Mercedes confirmed Hamilton will not race with them after 2024. And it said Scuderia Ferrari is pleased to announce that Lewis Hamilton will be joining the team in 2025 on a multi-year contract. So that's going from 25 to 26, most significantly going into those new regulations. When was the last time something this big happened? Well, funny enough, 2012, Lewis Hamilton announced he was going to Mercedes for 2013, and lo and behold, the next year in 2014, we had those regulations. Everyone thought it was a brave move at best. Some people criticised it, saying you're going from what is a championship potential winning outfit to Mercedes that at the time, despite taking over Brawn, did not look like a championship winning outfit. And lo and behold, in 2014, they very much were. And they did have quite a competitive 2013 as well. And so it says here, Scuderia Ferrari is pleased to announce that Lewis Hamilton will be joining the team in 2025 on a multi-year contract. Read the short statement, but it failed to mention poor Carlos Sainz, who's obviously going to lose his seat as a result of Hamilton. Now, Hamilton switching to Ferrari reunites him with which a lot of media and news reports have been saying, Fred Vasseur, who was the team boss of the Art GP team with which Hamilton won 2 junior titles on his way to Formula One, including GP2, which is now known as F2. So over the winter, Vasseur said he was in regular contact with Hamilton, but he downplayed the importance of these conversations to the media. He said, I'm talking with Lewis each week or each month for 20 years, he said during during a media dinner at Maranello. And then he said, I can't say that I didn't speak with Lewis at one stage because we are always in contact. So next up, Hamilton leaving Mercedes F1 team for Ferrari. This is Hamilton's own words, was the hardest decision. And he says his call to leave Mercedes was one of the hardest decisions he has made in Formula One, as his exit for Ferrari was confirmed on Thursday. This was at the time of recording. That's now yesterday because it's Friday. So at the end of a dramatic day of developments, as Hamilton's bombshell move sent shockwaves across F1, Mercedes ended speculation, obviously, in the evening, confirming that. And as predicted, it said Hamilton had activated that exit clause. He said, Lewis had said, Mercedes has been a part of my life since I was 13 years old. It's a place where I've grown up, so making the decision to leave was one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make. But the time is right for me to take this step, and I'm excited to be taking on a new challenge. I will be forever grateful for the incredible support of my Mercedes family, especially Toto for his friendship and leadership, and I want to finish on a high together. He said, I am 100% committed to delivering the best performance I can this season and making my last year with the Silver Arrows one to remember. Imagine if you won the title. And there we go. Mercedes boss Toto Wolf said he accepted Hamilton's decision to join a rival, but said his squad was excited about the options it had as it ponders a replacement for 2025. He said, in terms of a team driver pairing, our relationship with Lewis has become the most successful the sport has seen. And that's something that we can look back on with pride, he explained. Lewis will always be an important part of Mercedes motorsport history. However, we knew our partnership would come to a natural end at some point, and that day has now come. We accept Lewis's decision to seek a fresh challenge, and our opportunities for the future are exciting to contemplate, said Toto. But for now, we still have one season to go, and we are focused on growing racing to deliver a strong 2024. So, and also on motorsport.com, they put how Hamilton's exit could leave the Mercedes F1 team in a tough spot by Philip Green. And it basically said Hamilton, as we said, only signed recently a 2-year deal with Mercedes. We thought it was locked in for those 2 years, but as we know, it wasn't. There was wiggle room, as motorsport.com said. And as Ferrari confirmed Charles Leclerc's new contract, but they were dragging their feet on Carlos Sainz because he wanted a similar extension to what Charles Leclerc wanted. But it turns out Hamilton being on the table made this good area think more than once. And with Leclerc and Hamilton, both former protégés of Fred Vasseur, while Sainz was seen as a Mattia Binotto hire, Ferrari driver lineup now looks well poised. I mean, this is potentially now the best lineup without any question in Formula One. But it also, as we know, is going to leave this massive hole at Mercedes at an inconvenient time. Not as inconvenient as the end of 2016, beginning of 2017, when Rosberg said no more, thank you very much. And that, Bottas ended up being a very good but very quick hire. So had Hamilton's move been rubber stamped any earlier, though, Mercedes may have had more options to play with. But as we know, Hamilton's shock move has been preceded by several high-profile contract renewals that took place on the board. As you can see there, yep, absolutely, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri are two of them. And also Leclerc, set to partner the 7-time world champion, would presumably have been a key target for Mercedes. As we know, Max Verstappen is firmly locked in at Red Bull, and there aren't too many other big names, let's say, available for 2025. So Mercedes have had a good look at McLaren's pairing, but after the Australian extended last year, Norris, as we know, has put pen to paper. That's going to be a no. So who is it? And it said there was initial excitement on social media about Andrea Kimi Antonelli. He's debuting in Formula 2 this year. Very much Lewis Hamilton-esque in terms of his rise. Everyone is liking and really excited about him. Could he be fast-tracked? Lewis was after his GP2, and what a season he had in 2007. But it said, but even if there is precedent in F1 with Kimi Raikkonen and Verstappen promoting the now 17-year-old just 3 years, 3 years in cars have been fanciful and against Mercedes, obviously, they're what they normally do for their young driver policy. But following his F2 title, George Russell was farmed out, as we know, to Williams for 3 seasons of what Mercedes considered to be learning the ropes, so to speak, and hitting Bottas at the Imola Grand Prix that one year and blaming it on him. So yeah, things needed to be ironed out for George, but it was very clear that he was a really, really good talent. And even if Antonelli, it says here, delivers on his promise in F2 right away, a similar move might be more beneficial for the starlet's long-term career. So, if Russell Antonelli is seen as Mercedes' future, then who could be a stopgap for the 25 and 26 season? One free agent is suggested here, and I completely agree. Alex Albon, I think, is, for me, odds on to go to Mercedes for 2025, because James Vowles, a former Mercedes, top dog, knows Toto Wolf very well. Obviously, I don't think James would want Albon to go, but surely a Mercedes offer, despite being the number one at Williams, is going to be too good to be true. And we know he does get on with George Russell. He was a much stronger driver now than he was at Red Bull. And I do think there are a lot of question marks over the Red Bull second driver seat ever since Danny Rick left. So He scored all but one, this is Albon, of the team's 28 points last year to drag the team pretty much on his own to 10th, from 10th to 7th in the Constructors' Championship, and he's been praised for blossoming for his blossoming leadership qualities. The only issue with Albon, I think, is the fact that we do not know how good he is, because when you look at his teammates, they've not exactly been that impressive. Had they flattered him somewhat? So he's somewhat of an unknown in a way, but he's still potentially your strongest choice, at least over the next 2 years, unless you decide to pick Fernando Alonso. When asked by Motorsport.com last year about his expiring deal, that Albon said, "I think I have confidence in myself to keep it open. Being totally honest, I want to see this team in terms of Williams, and I want to be part of the team to be part of what's going to bring Williams forward." He said, "I'm really committed to the team until my contract pretty much ends. But I'm also 27, and I do feel like I'm in a good part of my career. If you take another year, I'm 28, then 29, going on to 30 soon. I want to give myself the chance to be able to fight for wins and fight for podiums." And what it comes down to is, at that time and in that time, can we bring this team to be that team? I think he's talking about, does he have enough time to make Williams, the team, or Formula One? So it says here, another safe pair of hands with race-winning credentials is swapping Hamilton for Carlos Sainz. Sainz, as we know, has traded blows with Ferrari teammate Leclerc quite evenly. They have been a lot more even than I think people gave Carlos Sainz credit for when he went to Ferrari. Both drivers enjoying dominant spells over each other. And it says, the Spaniard's cunning victory at Singapore, gifting Ferrari the only non-Red Bull win of the year. And perhaps, though less likely, it said option would rekindle Wolf's relationship with one of his former protégés, maybe Esteban Ocon. But then you have to wonder, they would have chosen Esteban Ocon over George Russell if they really, really thought he could be the future for the F1 team. Fernando Alonso is still, I think, definitely more favourite than Ocon. I think Ocon is really, really solid. But I would choose Albon over Ocon, I think, even though Albon is maybe more of an unknown quantity. But they're obviously suggesting Ocon. And they said replacing one more champion with another could be a fascinating prospect for Mercedes, even as Alonso will be 43, it says, at the start of the 25 season. The only issue with Alonso is he's very divisive. And I think as far as Hamilton can be as a teammate, I don't think him and George Russell, if they were on the track at the same time fighting, that's going to go down even worse, I think. But it's going to make for sensational headlines and absolutely shocking races in a good way. But one thing this story has done is definitely put Formula One back on the map. Here's Sky. Hamilton to Ferrari, the unanswered questions in Formula One's blockbuster transfer. It said the news that Hamilton set to join Ferrari has sent shockwaves through F1 and promoted a whole array of questions about the move's timing and obviously its implications. Question 1, why now and why Ferrari over Mercedes? And Sky have said it's the number one question that will be on everyone's lips, just why Lewis Hamilton decided that now is the moment in his career to sign. It said after all, this bombshell decision comes just 5 months after Hamilton committed to a new Mercedes contract for both the 24 and 25 seasons. It said, look, Hamilton, to leave Mercedes, it's got the stories there, ignore that. And it said, despite completing his second winless, and this is a winless season in a row, at the disposed former champions, Hamilton still spoke passionately in the final months of last season. But interestingly, when they were talking about it, Sky was saying that he didn't really have a good end to the season, even compared to George Russell, did he? It was fairly sketchy. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, Hamilton, as we know, he turned 39 at the start of January and is going to be 40 by the time he starts with Ferrari in 2025 in what will be the final year of the current regulations before that 2026 era. That theoretically, they said, is a clean slate for everyone. Are Ferrari a better bet than Mercedes, or is there more to it than that? Question 2, what happened to Hamilton's 2-year Mercedes deal? Well, we kind of know that already. Despite obviously being 5 months ago with that break clause which we spoke about, Sky got 3. What will Hamilton and Sainz final seasons at their current teams be like? The fact that this deal has been done 1 year ahead, I mean, if I remember, Montoya signed for McLaren 1 year ahead, and I think Alonso signed for McLaren, funnily enough, as well, 1 year ahead. And hey, Alonso went on to win the 2006 World Championship, knowing that he was going to McLaren the next year, so that wasn't too bad. So I mean, Hamilton, I think Mercedes are not going to want to tell him everything maybe for 25, definitely for 26, which they will potentially, that engine, for example, they'll be working on. They'd want to keep that very, very hush-hush. Who will replace Hamilton at Mercedes? Well, we've spoken about that. And what now for Carlos Sainz? A lot of people are suggesting he's going to go to the stake F1 team, which will seem to be Audi. But Carlos Sainz, he's no spring chicken. He's not old. And Audi, I don't think, are going to be winning straight away in their first year. I mean, if they did, it's going to be massive, isn't it? That would be an absolutely massive exclamation mark for Audi. But he, as we know also, his father, Carlos Sainz Senior, has strong ties. And has Lewis played another transfer blinder? This is the thing that we were talking about when Lewis left McLaren to go to Mercedes and announced in 2012. He started with Mercedes in 2013. So, and it says it seems so long ago, but it's not. It's worth noting that Lewis Hamilton once stunned us before in September 2012 by going to Mercedes, but he was sold a compelling vision, it says, by Ross Brawn and Niki Lauda of how Mercedes plan to approach that big engine regulation in 2014. So Hamilton has got impressive form in this area. It says, Sky is saying, has he seen something in Ferrari over the next few years that gives him a familiar or similar feeling of confidence heading towards F1's next big engine change? You've got to wonder. He likes winning. And I don't think for Hamilton, the will to win, the want to win, I think is more than the allure of Ferrari. Even though that's lots of drivers want to drive for them, but I think Hamilton's will to win is more important. So I can only assume he believed, or he's seen something, or been told something, that Ferrari are very much going to be the team in 2026, and 2025 is just a holding year. That's what I think, and a lot has been said of, Mercedes have lost a lot of people. So funny enough, so Red Bull are losing people. Ferrari, Fred Vassar has made significant Ferrari signings. And with Lewis Hamilton not being too happy with the 22 and the 23 car, including the way the development went from 22 to 23, realising they made a mistake and didn't listen to him, had he lost confidence in the team. And there was even talk Planet F1's got Toto Wolf's reaction, which we've kind of already read. But there's even talk of Toto Wolf only really being told yesterday, so that'll be the Wednesday before the Thursday announcement, being told on Wednesday by Lewis Hamilton that he signed for Ferrari, which would have been an absolute shock, I'd imagine, with Toto Wolf thinking, yeah, this guy's here for 2 years. And they both joined Mercedes in 2013. So it's the end of, not really a friendship, but it's the end of that, an absolutely fantastic partnership, which obviously Toto Wolf has said as well. So it's going to be a really interesting last year with Hamilton and Mercedes. I do not think he's going to start with Ferrari in 2024. However, never say never. As I said, who thought when they woke up on the 1st of Feb that they'll be seeing Hamilton to Ferrari, rumours, and then it to be confirmed by the end of the day? No one. So I guess nothing's off the table, however unlikely. But Hamilton, I think it's, the fact is that Hamilton is going to Ferrari for 2025. We will see him. Leclerc's going to be his teammate. We don't know who's going to race for Mercedes, but this silly season has started a while, has started. It's kicked off again, hasn't it? Let's see what happens. If you made it to the end, please like, subscribe. That would be amazing. Any of your comments, we try and answer as quick as we can. Sometimes it takes a bit of time, but yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And if you made it to the end, you are a multiple world champion in our eyes. Speak to you soon.